Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam malam, Ibu Tami. Eh, di sini saya ingin membuat video reaksi tentang membuat video reaksi daripada video dari Up and Down, yaitu yang membahas Fourier series dan transformasi Fourier. Jadi di sini saya akan memperkenalkan diri sebelum memulai videonya. Nama saya Hadi Fadizal Ikram. Saya dari kelas TT2B dan NIM saya 240333204. Mari kita mulai dari intronya.
Thank you to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this episode. Get access to my streaming video service, Nebula, when you sign up for CuriosityStream using the link in the description. Hello, welcome to Up and Atom. I'm Jade. Did you know that you can write any function just by summing up sine and cosine waves? Thrilling, isn't it? This is known as the Fourier series, and it, along with an accompanying idea, the Fourier transform, can be found in everything, from digital music to quantum mechanics to image recognition. If you've never heard of the Fourier series before, you might be skeptical. Can we really write any function in terms of sine and cosine functions? They have a very smooth, wavy shape. So how would you make something like this square wave which has sharp corners? First, let's take a step back. What?
Oke, jadi untuk di awal J itu jadinya ngasih tahu ke kita kalau sebenarnya itu semua fungsi bisa direpresentasikan sebagai jumlah dan dari gelombang sinus dan kosinus. Ini itu konsep. Jadi ini menjelaskan daripada Fourier series dan ternyata ini tuh semua fundamental itu dari mekanik kuantum sampai musik digital ternyata tuh semua ada urusannya dengan ini. Yang paling bikin kagum sih ternyata kalau gelombang-gelombang itu halus bisa eh, itu bisa dipakai buat kayak ngebentuk sesuatu yang tajam seperti square wave kayak gini nih. Kita lanjut ke adding the function together.
What happens when we add two functions together? If sine x looks like this, and sine 3x looks like this, a regular sine function with a smaller frequency, then sine x plus sine 3x takes the y values of each function at each value of x and adds them together. For example, at 3 pi on 4, sine x is equal to 1 on root 2, and sine 3x is also equal to 1 on root 2, so adding them together gives us root 2. At pi on 2, sine x is 1 and sine 3x is negative 1, so when we add them together, we get 0. If we do that with all the values, this is the resulting graph. When the original functions are both positive, the sum gets bigger, and when one is positive and the other negative, the functions can cancel each other out. This may already look slightly closer to a square wave than a sine wave does. Now let's try giving sine 3x a smaller amplitude. Then the added functions would look like this. This is already much closer to the square wave. By adding more and more terms, it will get closer and closer to the square wave. Fourier series are infinite sums, meaning you can add infinitely many waves, so you will always reach an exact solution. Another example is the Fourier series of a sawtooth wave. The first few terms are sine x minus half sine 2x plus 1/3 sine 3x. When we keep adding terms, we can see the sawtooth wave taking form. Now you may be wondering, what's
Nah, tadi itu udah dijelasin tuh ke sama Jade ini. Itu dia tuh ngejelasin gimana nyusun gelombang-gelombang sinus dengan frekuensi dan amplitude yang berbeda bisa ngebentuk gelombang baru. Nah, di situ tuh jadi langsung langsung ngeh gitu, langsung mikir. Kayak gini nih, contohnya tadi tuh ada penjumlahan antara sin X dan sin 3X. Itu tuh benar-benar ngebantu. Kayak kita tuh bisa ngelihat gimana nilainya sering bertambah atau saling cancel gitu. Habis itu juga visualisasinya di sini tuh keren banget buat ngeliatin interferensi gelombang. Nah, di situ tuh yang bikin karena juga itu dia ngejelasin kalau jumlahnya itu tak hingga bisa bikin makin sama dengan bentuk aslinya yang kayak gini nih, square root tuh, square wave itu kalau makin mepet nanti tuh makin sama bentuknya sama bentuk aslinya. Oke, kita lanjut lagi.
What's the point? If it's just a different way to write the same thing, why bother? Especially if it means dealing with an infinite sum. Well, in practice, we often don't need a perfect solution. We just need a solution that's good enough for our application. Like if we had these two functions and we wanted to write a program that could tell the difference between them. The first few terms of the square wave Fourier series are sine x plus 0 sine 2x plus 1/3 sine 3x, while the first few terms of the sawtooth wave are sine x minus half sine 2x plus 1/3 sine 3x.
Ini bisa dicatat nih, ini bentuk umumnya buat square wave sama sawtooth wave.
Simply by knowing the amplitude of that second term, the program would know which was which. Now, while it comes to the simple example of finding the difference between a square wave and a sawtooth wave, finding the Fourier series might be more work than it's worth. But the idea can be extended to pattern and shape recognition in general. If you take two objects like an apple.
Nah, tadi tuh dia udah ngejelasin tuh kayak kalau di nyata tuh kita nggak harus pakai jumlah tak hingga untuk bisa dapetin hasil yang cukup bagus. Jadi kita tuh cuma perlu beberapa suku aja tuh buat representatif atau visualisasi. Kayak tadi misalnya ngebedain square wave dan sawtooth wave. Itu cuma dari beberapa amplitude awal aja. Di situ jadi sadar kalau Fourier series itu bukan cuma buat teori kelas tapi emang alat yang dipakai di teknologi, terutama buat analisis bentuk atau pola.
A slice of pizza.
Kita lanjut lagi ke shape and recognition.
Their outlines can be analysed using this technique to figure out which is which. Fourier analysis is an important tool in image analysis and shape recognition. The trickiest part of this whole process is trying to figure out how to find the Fourier series. Or in other words, which waves will add up correctly to make the shape you want. After all, how would you go about adding waves together to make a pizza shape, or knowing which frequencies get added into a square wave? It's almost like asking someone to figure out the instructions for how to put individual atoms together to make your body. But before we talk about that, let's look at one more useful feature of the Fourier series. Our original square wave function tells us how the function changes with time, while the Fourier series is a sum of different frequencies. Now imagine if you have a recording with a high-pitched sound that you want to get rid of.
Oke, kita jelasin dulu sebelumnya yang buat shape and pattern recognition. Jadi tuh waktu bagian identifikasi bentuk tuh kayak ngebedain outline apel sama pizza slice pakai Fourier, dan jujur itu unik sih. Kayak ini barang-barang yang kita kadang lihat di kehidupan sehari-hari kita. Jadi tuh kita makin sadar kalau analisis Fourier tuh bukan cuma buat suara ataupun sinyal, tapi juga bisa buat nyimpan informasi yang berbentuk kayak pizza atau nggak apel ini. Nah, jadi juga Jade-nya juga bilang, orang yang di video, gelombang apa aja yang nyusul bentuk itu. Jadi itu kayak nyari instruksi rahasia di balik objek kompleks, dan ini benar-benar keren sih. Lanjut ke filtering noise.
Into a square wave. It's almost like asking someone to figure out the instructions for how to put individual atoms together to make your body. But before we talk about that, let's look at one more useful feature of the Fourier series. Our original square wave function tells us how the function changes with time, while the Fourier series is a sum of different frequencies. Now imagine if you have a recording with a high-pitched sound that you want to get rid of. If you found the Fourier series of that recording, you could just get rid of the terms of the sum that are associated with the high-pitched sound, add the sum back up, and get your original recording without the distracting high pitch. There's a tool associated with the Fourier series called the Fourier transform.
Nah, sebelum kita ke Fourier transform, nih, ini keren banget sih bagi saya. Kayak, jadi tuh audio tuh bisa difilter nih buat pakai Fourier series ini. Jadi kadang tuh kalau misalnya kayak mau bikin lagu itu tuh biasanya nanti kan ada background soundnya, ada instrumen soundnya, ada nadanya. Nah
Pitch
itu bisa
sound that you
pakai
want to
Fourier
get rid
transform
of.
tuh. Kita dengerin ya.
If you found the Fourier series of that recording, you could just get rid of the term.
Tuh, di sini tuh jadi cuma bisa hilangin ini aja nih, hilangin bagian yang ada noise-nya ini. Habis itu hasilnya jadi
And get your original
bagus.
recording without the distracting high pitch. There's a tool
Nah, ini tuh kita jadi bisa bikin nada tinggi yang kita mau hilangin tuh lebih gampang juga. Kayak cuma ngilangin satu wave aja dan kita campur balik wave-wave lainnya yang masih berhubungan dengan suara tersebut, itu tuh bisa ngubah suara yang akan dikeluarkan. Jadi ini tuh salah satu kegunaannya yang dimana tuh memfilter noise pada audio. Oke, kita lanjut ke Fourier transform.
associated with the Fourier series called the Fourier transform. It can be used to pick out which frequencies or which sines and cosines go into the Fourier series. More powerfully, it can be used to pick out and remove frequencies from a function as we just did with the audio recording, even without needing to find the Fourier series. The basic idea of the Fourier transform is that you feed it your amplitude versus time function, and it spits out the same function as an amplitude versus frequency function. This is because the Fourier transform decomposes the function into sine and cosine waves, but we only really care about the amplitude and frequency pairing. If we were to graph all the sine and cosine waves like this, as we have been doing, that's pretty messy. We're only interested in the frequencies and amplitudes, so let's rewrite the decomposition in terms of just those two properties. Here we've just collapsed each wave into a bar representing its amplitude on the y-axis and its frequency on the x-axis. This is how the Fourier series is typically represented. So to sum it up, the output of the Fourier transform is nothing more than a frequency domain view of the original time domain function. So if I go back to our first few terms of the Fourier series of a square wave, we expect sine x, 0 sine 2x, and 1/3 sine 3x. This new function, which is dependent on frequency, gets large at the frequency associated with sine x, is 0 at the frequency associated with sine 2x, and has a spike at the frequency associated with sine 3x, though of a smaller amplitude. To understand how the Fourier transform figures out how much of each sine or cosine is in the Fourier series, let's look at how the Fourier transform works.
Oke, pause dulu. Jadi waktu tadi dijelasin sama Jade kayak gimana tuh Fourier transform tuh, jadinya dia tuh ngubah sinyalnya dari domain waktu ke domain frekuensi. Itu penjelasan enak banget. Itu bikin gampang. Gak cuma jadi konsep matematis, tapi dia bikin sederhana mungkin. Kayak jadinya diagram batang yang ngeliatin amplitudo tiap frekuensi dan langsung ngerasa kayak, oh jadi begini tuh caranya komputer buat ngedengerin data yang diterima daripada pengguna komputer tersebut. Jadi kayak wow, kayak buka matanya gitu, kayak wah gini tuh caranya tuh, kayak keren banget. Oke, langsung aja ke cara kerjanya.
Power. Here, the numerical equation for the Fourier transform is surprisingly simple given its power. Here, f of omega is the Fourier transform from which we get the Fourier series. Notice how it's the subject of the equation, the thing we're trying to find. So basically, if we do all of this stuff, we can figure out the Fourier series. So what is all of this stuff? F of x is the time function we're calculating the Fourier series for. Then we have this exponential term and an integral. Why would multiplying the time function by an exponential term and taking the integral of that result give us the sine and cosine waves that that function is made of? Well, there's a famous result in mathematics called Euler's formula. It tells us that you can write this exponential in terms of sine and cosine waves. This is a very beautiful result, and there are already a lot of great videos about it, which I've linked in the description. So that's where the sine and cosine waves come into the Fourier transform equation. But still, why would multiplying the original time function by this sine and cosine term and taking the integral tell us the frequencies that make up the original time function? To understand, let's do an example. Say we want to know whether a wave with frequency 3 is used to make up this square wave, and if so, how much of it? Like, will we need its full amplitude, a quarter of its amplitude? The reason we have an imaginary component is to handle the general case where there may be different phases necessary to make up the function. But this square wave starts in phase with all sine waves at x equals 0, so we know we won't need any of that. So without loss of generality, we can drop the cosine term and treat the sine term as the real component. This term is telling us to multiply each y value of the square wave with the same y value of the sine wave. The value it returns will tell us how correlated the waves are, or more scientifically, how much they groove together. Like at pi on 6, the square wave has a value of 1 and the sine wave has a value of 1, so we get 1. At pi on 4, we get a positive value less than 1. This tells us that the waves are more correlated at pi on 6 than at pi on 4, which we can see is true. When the waves are correlated, the multiplication will always return a positive value. When the waves are anti-correlated, the multiplication will return a negative value, and when the waves aren't correlated at all, it will return a 0. Now we come to the integral, which is the continuous version of a sum. The sum of all of these values will tell us whether this sine wave is necessary to build the square wave. If the sum is positive, the waves are overall correlated, and this sine wave is in the Fourier series of this square wave. If the sum is 0, the waves are not correlated at all, and none of this wave is used to make up the square wave. If the sum is negative, the waves are overall anti-correlated, which is kind of like grooving upside down. So the negative of the sine wave goes into the Fourier series. It turns out that the sum is positive, so sine 3x does indeed go into the making of this square wave. But how much of it? After normalization, we get a value of 1/3. This tells us that only 1/3 of the amplitude of sine 3x is used to make the square wave. And when we compare with our earlier example, we do indeed see the term 1/3 sine 3x. So to recap, the multiplication tells us how correlated the waves are at each time step, and the integral tells us how correlated the waves are overall. Now notice how the square wave is made up of only odd sine terms, and it's pretty easy to see why. For every period of the square wave, there are always 2 more correlation humps than anti-correlation humps. So the sum will always add to a positive number, whereas with even frequencies, the positive and negative humps exactly cancel out, leaving us with a sum of 0. This is also why we don't see any cosine waves in the series. The Fourier transform does this same process for any frequency, thereby telling us which frequencies go into any specific function. I think this process is super beautiful. You can also think of it as changing the basis of the function in an infinite dimensional space. That was a jargon dump, so let's break it down.
Oke, di sini tuh tadi dijelasin secara matematika lagi gimana. Jadi di bagian tadi tuh kayak ini penjelasannya tuh penjelasan tentang integral, dan dalam Fourier transform itu bagus banget. Dia jadi kayak nggak sedang ngasih rumusnya doang, tapi ngasih intuisi kayak bahwa tuh fungsi dikali gelombang sinus lalu diintegralkan itu semacam ngecek seberapa cocok mereka berdua. Jadi kayak kalau mereka sinkron hasilnya besar, kalau enggak hasilnya kecil. Itu bedanya. Ini juga bikin integralnya daripada Fourier, terasa kayak tes kecocokan gitu loh. Kayak cocok, kalau cocok mereka tuh jadinya gede, kalau nggak cocok jadi kecil gitu. Dan hubungan dengan rumus Euler juga tadi tuh nggak kalah menarik, kayak tadi tuh dijelasin juga kan, kayak di bagian ini. Nah tuh ada ada E pangkat min I omega X. Nah itu tuh kak bisa ditulis kayak gitu kalau kalau
Where the sine and cosine waves come into the Fourier
sin dan cos
about it, which I've linked in the description. This is a very beautiful result, and there are already a lot of great videos about it, which I've linked in the description.
bisa dituliskan gitu loh. Nah di sini juga dia udah dia terain di deskripsi, nanti mungkin bisa dicek lagi jadi biar lebih ngerti juga. Jadi pokoknya kalau ada sin dan kosin gelombang bisa dituliskan seperti E min I E pangkat min I omega X. Ini juga tuh bisa dipakai buat eksponensial kompleks, buat kayak ngerepresentasiin kombinasi sinus dan kosinus. Nah itu dia. Ini tuh titik dimana matematika tuh terasa sangat elegan dan menyatu, kayak kompleks tapi indah, sulit tapi menarik. Itu dia. Oke, kita lanjut ke changing basisnya tadi ya.
So let's break it down. Just like we can change the basis of a vector space, choosing new coordinates to describe the same vector, we can also change the basis in function space. We started with a function expressed as amplitudes at an infinite number of time positions, and we changed the basis so that it was described in terms of amplitudes at an infinite number of frequency values. This is only possible because our sine and cosine waves make up an orthogonal basis, which is just a fancy way of saying they can be combined to make any function in function space, the same way an orthogonal vector basis can be combined to make any vector in a vector space. Transforming functions back and forth between bases is super useful in lots of areas of math and engineering, but the pure algebraic treatment only works if you have a mathematical description of the input function. Often in real-world applications, you only have the raw data to work with. Right now, your computer is using Fourier transforms to play this video, but it has to handle the messiness of the real world's data. For that, we need to write algorithms. Algorithms are step-by-step instructions that break down a really complicated process into small, manageable tasks. The pattern recognition and audio engineering example we used would both need an algorithm to work. It might amaze you how many algorithms are working quietly behind the scenes in our everyday lives. There's a great documentary on CuriosityStream called The Secret Rules of Modern Living, which explores how these algorithms work. From how TV streaming services choose which shows to recommend to you, to matching profiles on dating websites, to saving lives with the best kidney transplant solution. I was surprised at just how simple and clever some of these algorithms are, but also at how effective they are in helping us make the best decisions. If you're interested in learning more, you can watch this documentary for free by signing up to CuriosityStream with the link in the description. CuriosityStream is an award.
Oke, ini udah di pengunjung video. Jadi kita jelasin aja tadi ada dua tuh, changing basis sama real world data dan algorithms. Itu buat changing basisnya dulu. Jadi ini tuh kayak tadi tuh Jake ngebahas kalau Fourier transform tuh sama kayak changing basis di aljabar linear.
Just like we can change the basis of a vector space, choosing new coordinates to describe the same vector, we can also change the basis in function space. We started with a function expressed as
Nah, itu bisa kita lihat tadi tuh fungsi sebagai biasanya kita lihat tuh fungsi itu sebagai grafik di waktu. Tapi dengan Fourier ini tuh kita ngeliatnya itu sebagai vektor di ruang frekuensi. Nah, itu sama aja kayak ngubah koordinat dari sumbu x ke y, sumbu x y ke sumbu yang miring. Karena tuh sudut pandang baru itu lebih masuk akal dan lebih efisien buat kerja kita. Itu juga jadi relevan buat semua bidang teknik ataupun ilmu data. Nah, di sini pun juga menarik nih.
world applications, you only have the raw data to work with. Right now, your computer is using Fourier transforms to play this video.
Tuh. Jadi tuh untuk videonya aja tuh udah pakai Fourier transform. Dan dia juga ngebahas kalau kenyataannya tuh komputer tuh nggak bisa kerja tanpa integral kontinu dan jumlah tahingga. Di sini Fourier transform masuk ke algoritma yang bisa ngerjain Fourier transform dengan cepat dan efisien. Jadi sadar kalau setiap nonton video, ngedit audio ataupun buka kamera pun itu ada proses transformasinya tuh di semua kegiatan yang dilakukan itu. Teknologi modern tuh udah berdiri di atas kemampuan buat datunya tuh lewat frekuensi, dan semua itu berkat Fourier. Untuk itu, karena sudah di ujung video, saya pengen mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Bu Tami. Ini video reaction dari kelompok saya dengan Arkan. Baik, Arkan akan melanjutkan ke contoh soal. Terima kasih.
Halo, perkenalkan, nama saya Muhammad Arkan Hanif, akan menjelaskan contoh soal dari deret Fourier. Nah, konsep umumnya tuh dari deret Fourier itu adalah ekspansi dari fungsi periodik ke dalam bentuk kombinasi sinus dan kosinus. Nah, untuk umum yang di deret Fourier dari fungsi fx tuh dengan 2x didefinisikan sebagai berikut. Jadi fx-nya sama aja 0. Itu 0 tuh min pi lebih kecil dari x lebih kecil dari 0, dan 1 0 itu lebih kecil dari x lebih kecil dari pi. Nah, di sini konsep umumnya tuh kita menggunakan min pi sama pi. Jadi fx sama dengan a0 per 2 tambah sigma limit sama n sama dengan 1. Nah, an nya itu cos nx plus bn nya sin nx. Itu konsep umum kita. Nah, hitung koefisien dari a0 itu 1 per v integral dari v min v fx dx. a0 sama dengan 1 per v dalam kurung integral 0 min v terus 0 dx plus integral v sama dengan 0 itu 1 dx sama dengan 1 per v dalam kurung v kali 0 berkurung sama dengan 1, dan hasilnya itu a0 per 2 sama dengan 1 per 2. Terus hitung koefisien dari an itu an sama dengan 1 per v dalam kurung integral v 0 1 kali cos dalam kurung nx tutup kurung dx tutup kurung. Sama aja tuh kayak dulunya bagian fungsi di min v tuh sampai 0 bernilai 0. Nah terus ini an 1 per v sin nx per n v 0 min 1 per v kali sin nx min sin 0 per n sama dengan itu 0. Jadi tuh an sama dengan 0 untuk semua n. Nah untuk hitung koefisien bn nya kita gunakan 1 per v integral p min p fx sin nx dx. Gunakan fungsi integralnya yaitu f sin integral sin nx dx sama dengan min cos nx per v. Nah terus ingat bahwa kalau cos n v itu sama dengan min 1 pangkat n dan cos 0 itu sama dengan 1. Di sini bn 1 per v integral v 0 sin nx dx sama dengan 1 per v min cos nx per n v 0. Terus bn sama dengan 1 per v dikali min sinus nv min cos 0 sama dengan n sama dengan 1 per v kali 1 dikurang min 1 pangkat n per n. Nah hasilnya jadi bn itu untuk 2 per n v itu untuk n nya itu ganjil, kalau 0 untuk n nya itu genap. Jadi hasilnya fx karena semua an itu 0 maka deret Fouriernya menjadi fx sama dengan 1 per 2 plus sigma limited n sama dengan 1 n ganjilnya yang 1 n ganjil 2 per nv sin nx sama dengan 1 per 2 2v sin x plus 1 per 3 sin 3x plus 1 per 5 sin 5x plus dan seterusnya. Nah makna dari integral ini fungsi yang awalnya discontinue dan tampak sederhana ternyata terdiri dari jumlah tak hingga fungsi sinus. Berapa fungsi sinus? Nah, semakin banyak suku sinus yang digunakan tuh, makin banyak mirip bentuk hasilnya dengan fungsi aslinya. Ini bisa di mana tuh? Di atas nih. Ini menjelaskan kalau menganggap Fourier series sangat penting dalam teknik, terutama dalam bidang seperti pemrosian sinyal, terus komunikasi digital, gambar suara digital, dan solusi persamaan diferensial.